in a pediatric problem, legally approved ages of children. Opinions among undergraduates of University of Sri Jawadhanapura, Sri Lanka, and the paper will be presented by PLBC Liyanage. The authors are PLBC Liyanage and M. Vidanapathirana.
Good morning, everybody. My topic is legally approved ages of children, opinions among undergraduates. A child could be defined any human being under the age of 18 years, according to the Age of Majority Ordinance of Sri Lanka. Though the upper level of childhood is 18 years, according to the legislation, a child can acquire full legal capacity with regard to various circumstances at different ages. Thus, a legally approved age refers to any age that has a legal significance. In the community, there are several conflicting ethical views and controversial opinions regarding legally approved ages of children. But still, there are lack of research studies done in Sri Lanka and also in the world. There were two objectives of the study. The first one is to describe opinions regarding legally approved ages of children among undergraduates in University of Sri Jawadhanapura, Sri Lanka, whereas the second one was to compare the opinions regarding legally approved ages of children among first year and final year undergraduates. In this study, 5 major legally approved ages of children were considered. The first one was minimum age of culpability. Minimum age of culpability means the lowest age that a child could be prosecuted in a law, and which is a child is criminal liable for his or her own actions. And the second one was minimum age for employment. The third one was minimum age of giving consent for sexual intercourse. It is in Sri Lanka it is 16 years. Though the girl child give consent for sexual intercourse, and if the child is under 16 years old, the consent is not valid and it is considered as a statutory rape. And the next one was maximum ages of request in maintenance, whereas the final one was kidnapping from lawful guardianships. Though the child has given the consent, if someone takes the child away from the legal guardianship, and if the child is a male and under 14 years, it is as a kidnapping, and if the female under 16 years, it is also considered as a kidnapping. And this was a descriptive cross-sectional study, and the study setting was University of Sri Jawadhanapura. And the study population consists of both male and female first year and final year internal undergraduates studying in all 4 faculties. A sampling technique was simple random sampling. Sample was a representative sample of 400 first year and final year undergraduates, 50 from first year and 50 from final year from each faculty. Data collection instrument was a self-administered questionnaire which was designed using existed literature and validated through a pilot test, and it was consist of 2 sections. The section A was to assess demographic data, whereas the section B was to assess the opinions regarding legally approved ages of children. As a data analysis tool, we use a 19th version of SPSS, and the comparisons were made through Pearson's chi-square test and the independent sample t-test. And the confidence interval was set at 95%, and the p-value less than 0.05 was considered as statistically significant. Ethical clearance was obtained from the Ethical Review Committee of Faculty of Medical Sciences, USJP, and the prior permission was obtained from deans of all relevant faculties, and the informed consent was taken from all the voluntary participants, whereas the anonymity and confidentiality of the data was maintained, and only the analyzed data is exposed to the public. Majority of the participants were females, and 50% represent first year, and while remaining 50% was represented by final year. The age range was 20 to 26, and the mean age was 22.82. Majority was Sinhalese, whereas in religion based majority was Buddhist. Within first year undergraduates, 76% has been ever heard about legally approved ages, whereas the value is 80% in final years. These are the mean values. For criminal culpability, it is 15.65. For maintenance, it's 17.995. For employment, it's 17.13. Consent for sexual intercourse, it is 18.1. Male child kidnapping, 15.58. And female child kidnapping, 15.85. In Sri Lanka, according to the current law, the minimum age of criminal culpability is 8 years. But in worldwide, according to the United Nations Convention on Rights of the Child, it is confirmed that any age under 12 years is not internationally approved. But in that ground also in Sri Lanka, it is still 8 years. But the participants suggest it to be increased up to 16 years. In Sri Lanka, giving consent for sexual intercourse is 16 years, and the participant suggestion was it to be increased up to 18 years. Minimum legal age of being employed in Sri Lanka is 14 years, and it is suggested to extend up to 17 years. And the participant has confirmed requesting maintenance from the guardians up to 18 years. According to the current legislations, a female child it is considered as a female child kidnapping if the girl child is under 16 years, and the participant has confirmed those legislations. Whereas they have suggested for male child it to be increased up to 16 years. We couldn't find any significant 97.5 of the participants have confirmed that the legally significant ages of children should be taught in schools, whereas 87.5 of the participants proposed it should be taught in universities too. But we couldn't find any significant association between the academic and their opinion on legally approved ages of children should be taught in schools and universities. Here this p-value was less than 0.05. Second major finding was there was no significant difference between the academic year, whether they are first year or final year, and their suggestions for each legal approved date. Here I have mentioned all the p-values. Summary of the key findings. Participants' opinions were to change age of culpability and kidnapping to 16, whereas employment should be increased to 17 and consent for intercourse to 18. And almost every participant suggests to teach legal ages in schools and universities. In this study, no significant difference of opinions between first year and final year students were found. And the undergraduates' opinion to change the legal ages should be considered because they are the future professionals. And the major it suggests to teach legal ages in schools and university. And according to the Carroll's study conducted in 2010 in London, she has found that increased legal knowledge helped reduce rape by preventing victimization and offending. Though, because there are lack of research studies, here we can apply these findings to here, and we can assume that legal knowledge could give rise to prevent and minimize victimization and offendings of the children. And also participants suggest to include the legally approved ages of children in schools and university curricula in order to enhance awareness and to minimize crimes against children. The recommendations of the study: the opinions to change the legally approved ages could be considered in development legislations, amending of existing legislations, or in enacting special legislations to protect rights of children. Awareness efforts can be established at many levels, including universities and schools. Conducting continuous education programs or workshops on medico-legal issues concerning child abuse to the university students who will be the future professionals could be considered. These research findings could contribute to the development of the medico-legal system of Sri Lanka, and further researchers are required for this. And these are the limitations of this study. And my acknowledgement goes to all of them. These are some of my references. Thank you.
Yes, I have one question. Out of your all the recommendations, what is the most important recommendation you think?
To change that specific minimal ages like statutory rape and lowers the age of criminal responsibility should be considered into the account.
Because now you recommend that based on your findings, but the first finding of your presentation is that 78% are not aware of these terms. So I think just because they had to answer, they answered.
Pardon me, sir. It was 78% was aware about the terms.
Yes, so because they are not aware, they must have just.
No.
They were.
Yes.
76% of the first years and 80% of final years was aware about the terms.
They were aware.